Hello, this is what I'm doing now. I don't know for how long, but this is what's happening. So you presumably have seen the title and the thumbnail of this video. So in at least two ways, you know exactly what it's going to be about, and that is failure. Because in a lot of ways, recently especially, failure has been something that I've been wrestling with a lot and just thinking about in general. Because in a lot of ways, if you look at things empirically or objectively, or however you want to call it, a lot of things I've done can be seen as failure, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. And also, there's really no way to convince me otherwise. If you look at things like my 60 and 60 challenge, I failed halfway through that. Or if you look at the view counts of all of my videos or my subscriber counts, there's a lot of people who would say that given the amount of time that I've been on YouTube or making videos in general, that means I'm a failure. But I think failure is a matter of perspective in a lot of ways, and I think that there are a lot of positives and negatives to it. First of which being, failure can give you a change of pace. I think sometimes a change of pace is exactly what you need for a lot of reasons. One being that doing the same thing over and over and over and over can get a little boring. It can get really repetitive. And sometimes a change of pace is something that can help with mental health. It can help give you a needed break. It can help reformat all of those things that you've been thinking about. And it can just kind of give you time to sort out your thoughts, which I think is really important. I think there's a lot of reasons that a change of pace is great, and I think there's a lot of reasons that failure can give you a change of pace, because when you stop something dead in its tracks and you just step back for 3 months, as I have, from the things you've been creating, it gives you a new perspective on things, and it gives you a new way to look at things, and it gives you a way to look at things that you've been doing empirically or objectively, much like I mentioned earlier, in the same way that objectively speaking, you could say that things that I've done in my life have been failure. There are, though, of course, negatives to failure. One being that, for me anyway, the second that I do fail at something, a lot of times I'll do exactly what I did. I'll step away for a long time, too long, and get a sort of anxiety towards the things that I do in a way that's like, oh, is what I'm doing up to snuff when I come back? Is it going to be a big enough improvement for people to think that the 3 months or however long that I've taken off has been enough time for me to improve at my craft, or have I just been wasting time? And there's also this thing of, whenever I am not doing something, I feel like I'm stagnating as just a human being in general. So anytime I'm not making videos, I feel like I'm doing a disservice and being neglectful, and that will ultimately hurt me in the end, because I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting my life, which is not a good way to think. I mean, it helps in a lot of ways because it prevents me from stagnating and it prevents me from just not doing anything. But it can also be really negative, because it makes you depressed, It makes you feel bad. Anytime that you're not doing something, it makes you feel bad, and it makes you feel like you're wasting your life away, which is not true, because I've been doing a lot in this 3 or so months that I haven't been uploading to YouTube, and I've been doing a lot of videos, actually. It's just, again, going back to that thing I was talking about earlier, where I see the things that I make, and even if a few months ago I would have uploaded them, and there's a bird up there. Even if only a few months ago I would have uploaded those videos, and I would have been really proud of them, and I probably would still be really proud of them even if I uploaded them today, I get this weird thing where I just can't do it, and I go, it's just easier for me not to upload it and come back when I have something that I'm really proud of. But that's the thing about making art, is a lot of times, regardless of how proud of it you might feel when you're making it or whatever, a lot of times you get that, I know there's a bird in here. You get this thing where you just can't do it. Can't hit upload. But here's the thing about that. If I did the 1660 challenge all the way through, which I will finish at some point, by the way, but if I had done it all the way through right then and there and done 60 days in a row, even if I was super faithful every single day, which I wasn't, I skipped some days and I got off track and I had to catch up later on. But even if I was super good about it and I wrote a script every single day and I finished the challenge, I would have been so burnt out and I would have done terrible in college, which is something really important to me because I am a college student with other obligations, and that's why I just stopped, because at a certain point it was unsustainable for me to be doing that. Oh no! Oh my God. Oh, that was terrifying. Oh, that was terrifying. And I also think that in a lot of ways, it was just really unsustainable. And if I wanted to force some kind of metaphor, I would say it was like I was on a merry-go-round and I was spinning around and around and around, and that was happening for a long time, and I felt like I was just on that merry-go-round and I wasn't going anywhere, but I was getting faster and I was getting sick, and it wasn't helping me artistically or creatively to be doing this every single day because I was getting burnt out. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew I would get burnt out. But here's the thing. It prevented that feeling of stagnation for just a little bit. And when I got into the groove of it, I really felt good. I felt like I was doing well, and I felt like what I was doing was helping me in a certain way, at least artistically speaking. I can't keep up with that. But I think in a certain way it was helping artistically, but in a lot of other ways it really wasn't, and it was hurting me a lot more than it would help, or that I thought it was going to help. I think it was a lot more damaging to me than I realized, and it was getting unsustainable, and I was getting depressed in the opposite direction. I felt overworked and really stressed, and a lot of the time I felt like I was doing it for no reason, because as much as I don't think view counts matter, and I'll get into this in a little bit, but as much as I think that view counts and subscriber counts don't matter, it does get a little bit hard when you're pouring your soul into something every day. In some way, anyway. I mean, I think in any way, a video is a piece of who you are, as much as you might not think it is. But that really took a lot out of me. But that kind of brings me to my next point, doesn't it? Because for me, 95% of the time, I don't care about that. I don't care about getting millions of views or having millions of subscribers or pumping out 1,000 videos. And that, I think, was part of the problem with the 1660 challenge, and part of the reason I didn't finish it, because I don't like making videos in that way. It doesn't feel creative to me when I'm just setting up the same thing every day and talking into a camera in a way that feels disingenuous and it's just off of a script. Even though this is a little rambly, this is a lot better to me. and I can hear the birds chirping, and I'm outside and I'm walking, and it's great, and I'm getting nature in my body. It also helps that it's June. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if I wanted millions of views, or if I wanted millions of subscribers, as narcissistic as it sounds, I could do that. I could sell out, and I could just go and make videos that I know people would watch, and I could put a bunch of clickbait in the titles, and I could make them something that creatively for me and artistically for me sucks and sucks away my life force and makes me feel like garbage because I'm just doing it for a paycheck. And the great, freeing, fantastic thing about being a failure on YouTube is that I don't have to worry about any of that. I can make what I want to make and know in my heart that artistically it's valid and artistically it's great. Sure, not a lot of people are going to see it, but a lot of the time the people that do see it really like it. Or if they don't, a lot of the time their valid constructive criticism is a lot better than the stuff you get in videos with millions upon millions of views, because in those videos the comment sections are just garbage fires. And I don't want to get too worked up, but I don't know. To me, it's not worth it to sell out in a way that is like, oh, you made it, good job, you can monetize your content and you can sell out, because YouTube doesn't value me enough to give me monetization or to give me things like that. But I was never in it for that. I was making videos long before I even knew you could make money off of them, and I thought it was cool when I got the option. But I've made a total of $15 in AdSense revenue over the course of 6 or 7 years at this point. And so if I was doing it for the money, I would have stopped a long time ago. Yeah. I don't know. I just think if you're doing it to get millions of views, and if you're doing it to get the AdSense revenue or whatever, then you're doing the wrong reason. You're doing it for the wrong reason. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. I don't know. This is a lot better than being stuck in a room for me and just doing the same 2-camera setup. I'm selling one of my cameras, by the way. Anywho, I started off with notes for this video. I tried to stick to them so it wasn't too rambly, but there's only so much you can do. So just as a quick recap, failure's great. I'm much happier to have failed than to have completed the 1660 challenge, which I am going to complete at some point on my own time later. Also, I've been doing stuff outside of YouTube right now, in school and for myself, that I think have made me a lot better, and I think will work out really well in the long run. And a lot of it is pretty hefty stuff. I worked on my first short film with a crew of more than 10 people, with a crew of more than 5 people. I mean, I guess, a really long time ago I did one with a crew of like 9, but that's fine. But I did my first short film with a crew of more than 10 people with all these dedicated roles, and I directed that, and I co-wrote it, and it was great. It was a really great experience that I wouldn't have had otherwise, had I gotten too artistically burned out to move and crippled myself completely for an even longer period of time, which is kind of what happened. But, I'm doing a lot better now, I think. And also, I hope you like this change of pace. I hope you guys like this change of pace, and I hope you guys like this format of videos. And remember to keep in mind that for every one video that does get uploaded, there's like 5 that I just don't upload, which is just a thing. That's a thing. I remember Jake Roper made a video on a similar topic, and he's great. But regardless, I hope you like this format. Maybe I'll change it for every video. Maybe not. Might stick with this. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do what I want, and if you don't like it, I guess that's that. And you know, since I'm not really relying on sub counts or video counts anyway, this is great because it just gives me a chance to do whatever the hell I want. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't think 60 and 60 worked at all for me later on, especially because it was so stale, and it just like, if there's a gimmick, you know, people notice that, and I think artistically it's hard when there's a gimmick. And I think if I change the format of these videos every single time, that's just another gimmick in and of itself, is that they have a different format every time. So maybe I'll stick with this. I don't know. Who cares? Anyway. Hope you like it. If not, it's not for you.